Hey everybody, thank you once again for joining the Tamu show where dreams have no filter. Thank you for tuning in to my channel. And so today we're going to talk about what adult trauma is and how to handle it. So you're going to see me look up and down. Yes, I'm looking at my notes. I have notes again to help me stay on track. So I want you to pause, all right, before you do anything, before you make any other lists for 2023, before you make any other lists for January or the next 90 days, before you make another strategy, before you map out how you're going to spend every hour of your day, I want you to pause. Okay, put down the pen, put away your calendar, and just pause for a minute. So, we need to, this is very important, we need to start to give ourselves the space, number one, the space and the grace to process our trauma as adults. I'm not talking about childhood trauma. And this is what happens. Anytime you hear the word trauma, as an adult, we hear the word trauma and immediately we go back to our childhood, dismissing the trauma that we have experienced as adults. So, if you have either been listening to my podcast or if you have been watching my YouTube channel, my YouTube videos, you know that I love words, okay? I love the meaning of words. I love the root of a word. So, of course, I looked up what the word trauma actually means. So, let me give you my definition. My definition, the unofficial definition, is trauma is anything that is jarring, anything that you have experienced that is jarring, anything that you have experienced that is surprising, that and it's an unpleasant. I mean, we all like surprise. I love surprises, but I like the pleasant surprises. Okay, I'm talking about the unpleasant surprises, the experiences that happen that, number one, we don't want, number two, we weren't expecting, and number three, we just wish that they would not have happened, or we wish that they would not be happening. Okay? That is my official definition of what trauma is. So, anything that can be jarring to you. All right? So, I looked up the official definition from dictionary.com. All right? So, this is what dictionary.com has to say about what trauma is. So, it is a deeply distressing or disturbing event, period. Okay? So, back to the definition. I'm recording from my phone and just had to cancel a call. Okay, whatever. So, let me repeat this. Dictionary.com says that trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing event. So, raise your hand if you are an official adult and you're watching this and you have experienced deeply distressing and disturbing events. Okay? Some of you are experiencing those things right now. All right? You are experiencing something that you are saying, I just wish that this event would go away. I wish it, please, let's just be done with it, right? So, here's what can happen. Trauma, when it occurs, when those events have taken place, it can put our nervous system in a constant flight or fight mode, where that mode is just constant. It's almost like our body and our nervous system becomes used to it. If we're not careful, we can become used to things not working out. We can get into a mindset of, well, here's what I want to happen for me, but yeah, I don't think it will. And it's that subtle. If you've said that, there's some trauma that you have experienced in your life that you haven't given yourself enough grace to allow your nervous system to get balanced again. And I'm purposely redundant when I say jarring because that's what it can feel like. We get so in our minds and in our heads that we don't realize our nervous system, it's in our body, and our bodies can hold that. We can hold in that trauma where, as you know, we tell ourselves, we exist through life thinking that, okay, this is what I want, but it's not going to happen. All right. Which, here's a side note, and I'll get into this in another episode, but I feel like I need to say this, which is one of the reasons why so many of us as adults put our dreams underneath concrete. We bury them. We pile a bunch of stuff on them. That's why. Because we have this vision, and listen, just because you experience things that are jarring in your adulthood doesn't mean that those dreams go away. If anything, it makes them bigger. All right. So that's one of the reasons why so many of us adults, we don't give ourselves the permission to embrace the things that we really want, because we've gotten used to, our nervous system has gotten used to things not working out. Okay. So let me move on to the next point, which I actually just touched on this, kind of got ahead of myself. So what perpetuates that flight or fight mode that is the result of our trauma? What perpetuates it? One of the things is that we tell ourselves, oh, we got to keep moving. We got to keep going. If, let's say, for example, you started a business and maybe you expected, to lose a little bit of money. I don't know why you would expect that, but maybe you did. And that's what happened. Not only did you lose money, but you lost all your money. Anybody else want to raise their hand with me? Am I the only one? Okay. That is traumatic. That is traumatic. That can shake you to your core. And it can cause fear to set in to where you'll never try any other business idea ever again. That is jarring. And it's not about the money. It's about, well, I did this thing. I took a risk and did this thing, and this is what happened. Which goes back to another point that I've talked about on this channel, is how we frame failure. So back to what I was saying. So we perpetuate that fight or flight mode that distressing events can put us in, because we tell ourselves, we just got to keep moving. We got to keep going. We have to keep doing things. Part of that comes from what we get from society, or even from how we grow up, or both. Maybe there is no or, there's and. We get these messages that our worth comes from constantly being busy, constantly doing things. Forget about whether we enjoy them or not. Forget about whether we want to do them or not, as if when we're doing things that God forbid that we want to do them, we always have to do things that we don't want to do. It comes from that continual state of fight or flight comes from that perpetuates that constant jarring feeling that we have in our nervous system, that we just have to keep going. We have to keep doing things. So that is the one thing that perpetuates. So what do we have to do? We have to reframe what the phrase "we have to keep going and we have to keep doing," we have to reframe what that looks like. We have to reframe what that looks like. But before I get into that, I want to get into some of the other messaging that we get from society, especially at the beginning of a year. Now, this video is not about wallowing. This is not about, oh, this happened to me and what am I going to do, and being, no, this is not about wallowing. This is about saying, recognizing, I went through that. And I felt abandoned. I felt angry, or I still feel abandoned, or I still feel angry. What happened seemed unfair. Why? We don't give ourselves enough time and enough grace to do that. We don't. So going back to the messaging that we have at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, you see them all over. 10 steps to having a more productive year. 7 steps to plan your time better. 11,000 ways to budget better for 2023. And I'm being dramatic on purpose. I get the intent of those messages and the people that say it. I believe that the intention is good. However, we have to be able to say, well, wait a minute. And in 2022, or whatever the time frame is, in 2022, this happened. I lost a business. I lost a relationship. I lost control, or I lost my feeling of being in control. I lost what I felt was stable. I lost that. I feel like I lost that. And it feels like something is missing on the inside. You have to give yourself the grace to be able to do that. You have to. Because if you don't, that, number one, to recognize it, to say those things out loud, that is how you regulate. You get your nervous system back in balance. If we don't get our nervous system back in balance, what happens is we take action. But guess what? You're taking action in that nervous, scary, frantic flight or fight energy. So, for example, let's take the example of having a better budget, whatever better means to you. Well, if you're making that budget with the energy of, I'm making this budget because I don't want to lose money, that is the wrong energy. That is the wrong energy. But when you make the budget with the energy of, you know what, I'm making this budget to welcome more money in. You can say that when you have a balanced nervous system. You can say that when you've given yourself the grace to say, you know what, I've experienced lack and I don't like it. I had the experience of not being able to pay rent. I've had the experience of maybe having to choose between paying for insurance versus getting groceries. And that feels horrible. That that is what I'm saying. That is the way that we regulate our nervous system. We are recognizing that trauma. That's not wallowing. Wallowing is saying, I just can't believe this happened to me. I'm never making a budget again. It's not gonna work. That's wallowing. That's wallowing. And the two different things that we're talking about here. So I want to stress that. Saying it again on purpose. All right. So let's go back to the point. Oh, and another example that I wanted to use too was, you know, we talked about, using money as an example because we can understand that. But how about, a person, if you lost a relationship, it could be let's say romantic. I mean, it could be any relationship, friendship, but let's talk about romantic relationship. If you haven't given yourself the space to honor how you feel about losing someone that you were in love with, if you don't balance yourself out, you'll jump into something else that may not be the best thing for you. I mean, we see those people perfect example. We see those people all the time. We see them in one relationship that doesn't work, and then they jump into something else, and that doesn't work. Regulate your nervous system, babe. Okay? Regulate. All right? Also, one thing that I did, what I have learned, and I'm telling you all of this because this is what I have really it has really been refined for me these last 3 years especially. But initially when I started my apparel business, I had released collections, several collections. One wouldn't sell, then I would jump in, try and come up with something else really quick, sell that wouldn't sell. Then I would jump in and jump in and jump in, not selling, until, finally I just realized what I was doing. I wasn't helping myself by jumping into the next project because I was jumping in with the wrong energy of, oh, I got to do this because the last thing didn't work. I'm doing this. I hope this works too. I hope it doesn't fail. I hope it doesn't. I hope I don't lose. I hope I don't. Wrong energy. So I've seen a lot of people say, I started a business last year, but I had to hurry up and start something else just so I could stay busy, just so I didn't feel like a failure. No. Wrong energy. That individual has not given themselves, or those individuals have not given themselves the space to clear out their nervous system. When I say regulate your nervous system, clear out your energy, to me, from my perspective, that is the same thing. It's the same thing. All right. So let's go back to what I mentioned earlier about reframing what keep going and keep moving can actually mean. It does not mean hustling. It does not mean making your to do list longer. It doesn't even mean having a to do list. Listen, what are we? We are human beings to be, in harmony. We weren't put here to be in constant flight or fight mode. Yes, we are spiritual beings having a human being experience, but that doesn't mean that we're supposed to be constant jarring mode and constantly doing things to get over the last thing that didn't turn out the way that we wanted it to. No. So, how do we get balanced? I'm going to give you some examples. And these are really the root or the foundation, I should say, of these examples is about following joy. If you have listened to the podcast, if you have watched these videos, you know I am all about following joy, following what makes you more expansive, what makes you more expressive, what makes you more at harmony with yourself, what puts you at ease. This is not about, oh, I want to go take a walk out in nature and feel the sun on my face. But I should be doing, no, none of that. This is not about what you should be doing. This is about following joy in what is going to light your soul completely up. All right? So, give your nervous system a minute to get balanced, to find harmony again, to cleanse your energy out. How do you do this? You honor, like I just said, you honor the trauma that you have experienced by following joy. I don't care if it's going out in the rain to take a walk. I don't care if it's running in the rain. I don't care if it's sitting on the sidewalk, feeling the sun beaming on your face. I don't care if you live near a pond. I don't care if it's going to stand at the water. I don't care if it's going to that pond to watch the sun rays bounce off the water. I don't care if it's painting, if it's drawing a flower, doing a crossword puzzle, taking a bath, lighting a freaking candle. Listen, making yourself a chai latte, all right? We take those things for granted because we don't view them as productive or productive enough. Do you not know that taking the time to do that, to cleanse your energy, is productive? That is productive. Oh, and I forgot one, journaling. Journaling. And when also, a side note, when you journal, this is not about writing sentences that would make sense for somebody else to read. It's only for you. It's just a conscious flow of just thought. I don't care if for you, bringing joy to you is just sitting in silence. That is being productive. That's being productive. So reframe what keep going means. When you do that for yourself, you're moving, you're progressing. It doesn't always have to be, oh, well, moving on to the next project, let me hurry up. No, it's not always about that. It's about And I won't even say slowing down, but just allowing yourself that space to be, to get regulated. Also, and I kind of mentioned this before, if you don't, if we don't regulate our system, our nervous system, sure, we can take action, but it's going to feel exhausting. We can even try to create something, but it's not going to be in its purest form. It's going to be some, I don't know, just twisted version of the purest thing that we can create when our nervous system is regulated. All right. So balancing is important because I just mentioned this. See, this is why I look down at my notes, because I already got ahead of myself a few times. So balancing is important because you want to make sure that when you are taking action, number one, it's inspired. Number two, it is in clean energy, so that what you're creating is in the purest form of what your soul wants and what your soul desires. All right. Also, one last thing, and last but definitely not the least important, this is probably the most important thing. If you've listened to me talk, I don't just believe, but I know, and I now live by this, that our words, our literal words, they create. We don't need a scientist to tell us that. We don't need research to tell us that. At least I don't. Okay. We create things by what we say, which is why it's important to have our nervous system regulated, because you can affirm. I believe in affirming. When you affirm, you're saying what's already done. You're not affirming because you don't have something. You're affirming what is already there, what already exists, which is why you got to choose your words carefully. We create. That is, all of us are creators. And again, this is a side note. All of us are creators. We came here with the power to speak what we want. Yes, I mean literally speak, say what you want. I know that. So when you are affirming, if you are a person watching this, I'm guessing that you know that you can affirm what you want. You can affirm what's already done. When you are trying to affirm something in that fight or flight energy, guess what? The universe, God, source, love, intelligence, supreme intelligence, whatever you want to call it, it's only going to bring what you're thinking. It's going to bring what you're thinking, which is why you got to clear your energy so that your words can be pure, so that your words and your heart and your soul are in complete harmony. That can only happen when your nervous system is at harmony. All right. So I know that was a lot. I encourage you to go back and listen to this video, but thank you for watching to the end. And if you are watching this on my YouTube channel, please subscribe and like. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified when I upload a new video. Until next time, cheers.